Planet Vero Studio is powered by the Nolan Group of RE/MAX Associated Realty. MyNextHomeFinder.com.
It's time now for Mental Health Matters with your host, Lisa Rymer. Mental Health Matters is graciously underwritten by New Vision Eye Center, world-class eye care on the Treasure Coast. New Horizons thanks Dr. Paul Minotti, Dr. Stephen Tate, Dr. Robert Reinauer, and Dr. David O'Brien. Now, here's Lisa Rymer.
Welcome to Mental Health Matters. This is part 2 of a 2-part interview with Veronica Kolobab, a certified integrative nutrition health coach and the business development director at Nice Roofing and Construction. I'm here in the studio with my co-host, Katie Love, and we have been talking about nutrition and its impact on physical health as well as mental health. If you missed the first part, we are on our Facebook page. We put all our videos on Facebook. It's New Horizons of the Treasure Coast. And just to tell you just a little bit about New Horizons, we are the largest mental health agency in this 4-county region, serving 15,000 children and adults through inpatient and outpatient programs. Just to give you an idea of what we do, we have counseling, we have therapy, we have a psychiatrist medical treatment. We have medication-assisted treatment for opioid addiction in an outpatient setting, which is a very intense program. We have a case management for children, for adults, for intensive children wraparound services in case management. So all levels. And at inpatient programs, we have a detox, a 28-day rehab, an adult crisis, and a children's crisis unit for Baker Act people who have been Baker Acted, which means that they are presenting a danger to themselves or others. And we also have a longer-term residential group home. So if you're interested in learning about any of these, whether it's inpatient or outpatient, or calling our crisis line, which is open 24 hours a day, and the number is 772-468-3909. They'll be happy to talk to you. It's a master's level mental health professional. We also have the only mobile response team on the Treasure Coast, which means that we'll send out someone to the person in need 24 hours a day, 365 a year, without any cost and no time limit. They come without white coats, with no signs on the car to make you embarrassed, and they try to de-escalate a situation. It's really a great organization. The community needs New Horizons. I'm not just pushing them because we can't possibly handle all of the demand for mental health, but it is an option, and that's why we have this show, just so that you know, the viewers and the listeners, that there are ways to find healing for you, your family, your loved ones, your neighbors, and your friends. So our website is www.nhtcinc.org. You know, in the old days, they thought of mental health is like from the neck up and physical health from the neck down. And now we know it's not. And it's called integrative health because your mental health issues do impact your physical health. And here to talk about that is Veronica, who was just last explaining about some of the trauma in her childhood that really impacted her physical health. You said something to me interesting. Your body doesn't deal well with stress. Tell me a little bit about how your body responds.
When I'm under a lot of stress, I have a hard time digesting certain foods, and I don't get hungry either. So let's say I went through a 3-month stressful period of time, I would probably just drop weight. I'd just drop like 10 pounds, just because, number one, I don't want to eat. It's almost like my body doesn't want the exertion of having to digest food when I'm under stress. And I think that is because of my entire life really was stressful, but I didn't realize how stressful it was until I got out of the situations that I was in. But I actually lived in a shelter too, when I was 16.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah. So at 16, I'd lived in a shelter. That's a whole nother long story. So that was stressful, and then a lot of divorces, but my parents divorced, and then my dad divorced a couple times. My mom divorced a couple times. So there was a lot on the ACE scores. But it really took its toll, but I didn't realize how it took its toll. So when I got myself into stressful relationships, it was like cellular memory kind of kicked in.
Mm-hmm.
And so my body just does this thing, and I'm not even sure what it is, but it's always goes to my stomach. So for people who maybe are experiencing a lot of stomach issues, you may want to look into ways to de-stress your body. You know what I mean? Maybe some meditation or yoga or walking. I find walking in nature to be extremely soothing and healing. You know what I mean? And even good stress. Like a lot of us have good stress. Like right now I have a lot going on as far as the shows that I'm going to be doing and stuff. And that's good stress, but it's still stress on the body.
Right. And so learning how to manage stress in life, right?
Yes, very, very important. Stress is huge. It creates a lot of inflammation in the body, and it can lead to a lot of different diseases, cancers, heart diseases, a lot of different things can happen.
Well, we're going to do our segue a little bit earlier than anticipated. Katie, love. I mean, the stress right now, you're a senior, you're applying to colleges,
Mm-hmm.
and then on top of that, just being a teenager,
Yeah.
you know, and all the stresses that come with that, you know, girls, peers, boys, homework, you know, parents.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with the rest of your life?
Yes, there is so much stress that goes into, I mean, all of high school, but the heaviest amount, especially if you're going to take a college route, is senior year. And even trying to figure out what you're going to do beyond high school is so entirely stressful. And it can be hard sometimes because people in your life, people that you look up to, see. I've been told many times in my life that I'm very mature, and it's been a very wonderful compliment until they stop realizing that I'm still a child. I'm still not fully developed. I'm still processing all of these new things. And they tell me all of these big adult things that I can't comprehend. And I've seen it with some of my other friends too. They've struggled with this added stress that parental figures put on us of their own struggles. And it's hard for us to help. And then in a way that makes us feel helpless. Because what do you say to somebody who has such big problems when you already have so much going on? And some of us are dealing with our own mental issues. I don't understand how we could possibly take on more. And I think it's really important that we remember that we can take a step back and say, I can't help you. And no matter what situation it is, whether it be a peer or a parental figure, you should be able to say that I do not have any capability to be of help to you. And I want to be there for you. I want to support you, but it's not fair to expect me to help and fix you. I'm not a specialist. I'm a child.
Oh, you sound so mature.
She sounds like a specialist to me.
I know.
Amazing young lady.
Really,
But
you
yeah,
are.
it's a lot. It's a lot for someone who personally I deal with a few mental problems myself, and I work through them the best I can, but sometimes there are bad days and other times there are good days. And even in the good days, it's hard for me to have the right things to say to big problems like that. Especially because I don't know as much as you guys know. You guys are specialized in this, and I'm still trying to figure out how to do statistics. So it's a lot to take on.
So, Katie, yeah, you know, it's important that as we process our stuff, because we're all human and we all have stuff, that we don't dump, especially on the kids. You know,
Especially on
yeah,
the kids.
I mean, find a healthy outlet, whether that's a therapist or a good support group, or, you know, someplace where you can vent, primal scream, or you know, just talk things through, but probably going to your children with, you know, the marital issues or the financial issues. I know that for myself, you know, we tried to be very open with our children, you know, not to be those, like, you know, whispers in the bedroom, mm-hmm. Harsh whispers in the bedroom. You know, we tried to be open with the family, you know, but there is a time and a place for, you know, children to be children.
Right.
Definitely.
Right. Especially, you know, I work outside of this, so it's already, I feel like I work doubles 24/7, and just, you know, I'm a full-time college student, full-time high school student, and part-time at my current job. So it's a lot to take on with with added information, with big financial issues or, mental health issues that, from an adult feel so much bigger than from my peers. Because with peers, a lot of it is, social drama, at home drama, which a lot of it can be, well, here, let's go out to lunch. Let me support you. Let me do something. You can't really do that necessarily with a parental figure. So it's a lot different compared to my younger friends.
So that's an interesting thing you said. So much of our socializing, our cultural socializing is around food. Let's go celebrate. Let's go have a drink. Mm-hmm. Let's go have an ice cream cone. Let's eat cake, right? Like, let's drown our sorrows in a gallon of ice cream, right?
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? I mean, you're not a therapist, but you are a nutrition coach. Do you address those kinds of issues?
I am of the school, and I used to be of that school. I am now of the school of I eat to live. I don't live to eat. So if I'm not hungry, I don't eat. If I am hungry, I eat. If I eat dinner, I don't eat a huge plate of food. I eat food that nourishes my body so I fill quicker. And I find that my portions are probably a third of the size of what people are eating right now, too. So food does become that comfort. We talked about that in the segment 1, where food is very addicting, and it can be. And if we equate an emotional thing to a food, like let's just say every time you had a good time with your parents, you were eating ice cream. So now when you feel bad, you're always going to go for ice cream because it makes you feel good. And it happened with a girl in a study where she was having all these problems, and they actually did Psych K on her, which is a whole nother thing we'll talk about another time. But they went all the way back. She had this Coca-Cola addiction, and it was only Coca-Cola. It wasn't necessarily sugar. Well, what it went back to was that whenever she had a bond, a good time with one of her parents, like the Coca-Cola was what they gave her. Or when she was sad, they would give her Coca-Cola. So then every time she was sad in her life, she was drinking Coca-Cola. Or anytime something happened in her life, she was drinking Coca-Cola. So they had to take out that pattern, that program. They reprogrammed that with Psych K.
Very interesting.
And she gave up the Coca-Cola. It was amazing. Yeah.
So what do you do then as a coach, as a nutritional coach?
Well, I don't personally coach people. My goal is to coach on a bigger scale. Mm-hmm. So through the TV show, and I've got a podcast coming, that I really want to educate people on food. What is food? How are we eating the food? And in that same way, we're going to bring in the integrative parts of it.
Okay.
So it'll be more on a bigger scale.
So tell us about the television show.
Yes, awesome. So January, starting the Eating with V TV show, because right now I have Eating with V on Facebook, and it's pretty much like a food blog right now. But I want to show people how to make the foods that I make and make it easier for people to be able to eat that way, because people think it's really hard. It's not that hard once you learn how to do it. So, but I do bring guests on. So holistic doctors, I want to bring on other health coaches, weight loss experts, fitness trainers. That's how we bring in the integrative part. So they learn how to cook. It's not just a cooking show. They'll learn how to cook, but they'll get the integrative coaching in the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when we get back from our sponsor break, I want to hear about some of the recipes, because I've heard about this avocado chocolate pudding that just sounds horrific, but I've heard it just tastes amazing. Yeah. So just be back in a moment.
Dr. Robert Reinauer of New Vision Eye Center is a fellowship-trained retina surgeon. He provides the very best care for patients needing treatment for dry and wet macular degeneration and diabetic eye care, as well as surgical care of the retina, including retinal detachments and the removal of floaters, providing world-class eye care on the Treasure Coast. Call 772-257-8700 or visit newvisioneyecenter.com.
Have you shopped at the Habitat Restore lately? This is one place that everyone must visit. It's become a regular weekly stop for many who love the thrill of discovering all the newly arriving merchandise. We've become popular because of the generosity of so many Indian River County residents and businesses that donate goods. To start with, we have a deconstruction crew that removes building materials for the purpose of reuse. Through resale, the Restore continues to support the Habitat goal of serving families in our county. Of course, there's more to see. The Restore's massive showroom displays furniture for every room, all in great condition. Shoppers will love the layout, which separates departments including plumbing, home accessories, electronics, lawn and garden, tools, sporting goods, seasonal goods, and more. The Indian River County Habitat Restore is at 4580 North US Highway 1, just north of 45th Street. Tax-deductible donations can be dropped off, or we'll come and pick them up for free. Online at irchabitat.org.
Are you feeling blue? Going for a walk outside will surely lift your spirits. Studies indicate that walkers scored significantly higher on vitality, enthusiasm, pleasure, and self-esteem, and lower on tension, depression, and fatigue after they walked outside. Feeling down once in a while is normal, but if you're feeling depressed on a regular basis, you may want to consult a mental health professional. New Horizons is the largest mental health and substance abuse agency in the area, with help just a phone call away 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call 772-468-5600 or visit newhorizonstreasurecoastinc.org.
Welcome back to Mental Health Matters. If you're just joining us, this is part 2 of a 2-part interview with Veronica Kolabab, a certified nutritional coach. Integrative nutrition coach. I'm not wearing my glasses.
You got it. You're good.
That's right. Wing it. So we've been talking about what integrative nutrition is and what her coaching is, and all different approaches to eating with special diets, really, but a lifestyle change, not a fad diet kick. So you do all of your cooking shows have to do with gluten-free and sugar-free and dairy-free cooking?
Yes. So they're gluten, grain, dairy, and sugar-free, which really no one's doing right now. And when you think about it, like people say, Veronica, you take all that out, what's left? No flavor.
Right.
And I'm like, actually, anyone who's ever eaten my food would beg to differ. I'm one of the best cooks. But we don't just cook, like not having gluten, dairy, sugar, and grains doesn't just mean like cakes and pies and cookies. Like we can do beautiful chicken salads. And I just show people how to make foods that are easy to make, but delicious and healthy, and how to make it easy on them.
How do you make a chicken salad without mayonnaise?
Well, you can have mayonnaise. They have no soy mayonnaises, and they have sugar-free mayonnaises.
Oh.
Yeah, Duke's Mayo is actually not soy-free, but it is sugar-free right off the shelf.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah, and you can actually make your own mayonnaise, too.
How do you do that?
I don't make my own mayonnaise.
Oh, okay. But you do make your own avocado chocolate pudding. So tell us about that.
The avocado mousse is out of this world. And I'd heard about it a while back, and I was like, ugh, that just sounds so nasty. And then I said, I'm going to try to make this. And I had to play with that recipe forever. And I finally have it perfected. But you take avocados, put them in the processor. I use erythritols or monk fruit sweeteners because you do need a sweet, obviously for it, but I don't want the glycemic load.
And what is monk fruit?
Monk fruit is, it's a form of, it comes from a plant. It's more like it's a sweetener that's very sweet like sugar, but it doesn't have the glycemic impact to the body. So it doesn't raise the blood sugar levels.
It doesn't?
No.
Which does all kinds of other things. It increases the heart rate. It increases anxiety levels.
Oh, yeah.
And as you've talked about, and it also causes inflammation, which is the precursor to most disease.
Oh, yeah.
So
major inflammation sugar causes in the body. It's very acidic.
So the monk fruit doesn't do any of that?
No. Monk fruit doesn't have the load. Neither does erythritol. There are a lot of different sweeteners. I'll do stevia mixed with erythritol. They're actually sweeter than sugar, so you use less of them anyway. They're not inexpensive, but I feel like the greatest investment is in our health.
Could you just use banana?
No, bananas are super high in sugar. Diabetics can't even eat bananas because that's how high in sugar they are. A lot of fruits are very high glycemic. The low glycemic fruits, berries, blueberry, raspberry, strawberry, blackberry, kiwi, green apple.
They're not very sweet. Not enough to sweeten a mousse.
No. And some people don't want to use like an artificial sweetener, but I have all of my sweeteners tested for me with a kinesiology doctor. And so I don't use anything that doesn't test well for my body. So I tell people, and even on my shows, I'll tell them, go and have your stuff tested and make sure that your body likes it and wants to have it, right? You can have blood work done. You can have kinesiology testing to find out which sweeteners will work with you.
Okay, so the avocado, the monk's fruit
Monk's sweetener. I use a little bit of almond or coconut milk, Hershey Special Dark, and a little bit of vanilla. And you whip it in the food processor. You have to do it in the processor because it will literally get that really truffly texture.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. And it's got to be Hershey Special Dark.
And it doesn't taste like avocado?
Not at all.
Like you're having guacamole with cocoa powder?
Absolutely not. If I didn't tell you and you just tried it, you'd be like, this is the best mousse I've ever had.
Oh, my goodness.
It's that, and that texture is so, and it's got the good, healthy fat from the avocado.
I'm going to make it for Thanksgiving. My son is, he has Crohn's disease, and so he's gone vegan. So we're, doing all of these vegan recipes now. And so I'll try that.
Oh, yeah. He can do the monk fruit, and you can also do xylitol. Xylitol can get people a little gassy in the stomach. I like the erythritol. It doesn't bother me at all.
Where do you get these sweeteners?
Usually
monk
offline.
Fruit?
Get them off Amazon or somewhere online.
Are there stores around here that carry those?
They do. But
health food stores? Or?
Yeah. And Publix has them. They're just not inexpensive. If you're going to use them on a regular basis, you're better off to get them in a larger size because they're economically not friendly.
Okay. So you make these kinds of foods on your show?
Oh, yes.
Like what else? What other? Do you do quinoa, or is that a grain?
I have a beautiful dessert that I make with quinoa.
A dessert?
Yeah. Quinoa is seed. It's not a grain.
Oh.
Yeah. Quinoa is a seed. It's actually the only complete protein in a plant. So quinoa has all of the amino acids.
So I did hear that it was protein. It had protein in it, but it's a complete protein?
Yeah, it's the only one, actually, in a plant-based food.
Oh, my. I did not know that.
Yeah. And quinoa, I do quinoa with like cinnamon and apples and what else do I put in there? Pecans. Sometimes I'll use a tiny bit of maple syrup, but you can use a monk sweetened maple syrup so you don't get the sugar. Because maple syrup and honey are still sugar. I don't care what anybody says. They still raise the blood sugar levels the same way sugar does. And
now you also make some of these foods available. I've seen you made a whole batch of the mousse. Come and get it. So how do people contact you?
They would go to the Facebook page, and I will make a post. My ultimate goal with that is to create the demand so that a manufacturer will come forward who can make these beautiful foods and put them on the shelf, because I really want people to have them. And a lot of people maybe don't have the time to make them. A small batch out of my kitchen on the cottage law right now, Home Sweet Home Act. And but there's no preservatives. I make like pumpkin breads and zucchini breads and banana nut breads, and things like that. And just all kinds of I make coconut macaroons. I've made my own sweetened condensed milk that's dairy and sugar free.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I come up with all kinds. It's a God thing, honestly. It's divine intervention, because I don't think that I could have just, most people have to research for a million years to come up with things, and they just kind of come to me. I'll come with an idea and I try it. It might fail the first time. Generally, it doesn't. But it usually doesn't go past one or two times where I've perfected something. And that doesn't come from me. That comes from something way bigger than me.
Right. So you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
I am definitely on the path.
And so your TV show is going to launch in January.
Yeah.
And it will be on your Facebook page.
It'll actually be on a YouTube channel, and we'll run it through the website and the social medias as well.
So we only have a couple of minutes left, but Katie, do you think that the kinds of foods that Veronica has been talking about, you think that the kids would go for that?
I mean, it sounds really good to me, and I'm a really picky eater, so I'm assuming yes. It sounds really good.
You're all in for the monk sweet food.
That sounds really good. No, genuinely.
Awesome. You'll have to connect with me so you can try.
Oh, absolutely.
And restaurants, that is that's what we need, is more restaurants to cook like that, because that is one of the scary things about restaurants, is you don't actually know what the ingredients are that they're using.
Yeah, there's sugar and flour and things you wouldn't imagine sugar and flour are put into. And we don't really need those things to make food taste good. Food tasted good many, many years ago before we had all those things to put them in.
Veronica, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
If you want to hear anything more about New Horizons, www.nhtcinc.org, or go to Veronica's Facebook page and watch this show. We'll see you next time. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.